Gospel Men is coming to NGC this fall. Today we talk about it. Welcome to the Truly the Church podcast, where we explore what it looks like to truly be the church in today's culture. Andrew's here. I'm Tyler. How's it been going?
Smooth, man.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done this in a few weeks. I'm a little rusty.
It's been going good, Tyler. Yeah. No, it's been good. Good summer. Yeah, we got a lot of summering going on. So
yeah, you said in staff meeting yesterday that like our hope and prayer was for just like a normal summer.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Last couple summers, the last, if you think about three of our churches, summer of 2023 was crazy for them because they were going through massive leadership transition and upheaval. And we were kind of helping them out a little bit in summer of 23 relationally and, supporting and preaching over there and doing things, but it wasn't a massive outpouring on our part. It was more, they were going through a ton. And then summer of 24, we were in the midst of the merger stuff full on, and that didn't finalize until September 1st of 2024. So the last two summers for so much of our team were abnormal, a lot of extra meetings, a lot of extra stuff going on, angst within leadership and congregations and different things. So yeah, we were saying a normal summer this year, vacations and stuff, so. Has
the summer been the normal that you were hoping for?
Yeah, it has been for us. Yeah, for sure. Nice. I think it has been overall for people. I mean, stuff always happens, but we've done church-wise, we've done, the camps, the retreats, the VBSs, all that kind of stuff has seemed to go quite well throughout the five. All five churches are still growing well. We've got one local lead on sabbatical. We've got our local leads are in fact, I think three of them are on vacation right now, and my family's got a vacation coming up here soon. And so there's been lots of people have been able to take time and trips and things. And so, yeah, it seems to be quite normal.
Yeah. So I know there's already been the Hall of Fame game, but like NFL preseason legit starts like today or tomorrow.
Big time.
Yeah. So
exciting.
Fall is coming. And I've often said that the only thing that makes the weather here getting worse worth it is the fact that the football is coming back.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
It's coming. The summer is on its way out. In fact, a bunch of my friends on the East Coast and Midwest, they're like already starting school. We still have like 4 weeks until we do. But anyway, with the fall is coming a new initiative here at NGC across the five, but here at Eastside specifically. I want to talk about it today. And so there's this new thing. If you go to NGC, you've maybe seen little ads for this starting to pop up around, but this thing called Gospel Men.
Yeah.
And so let's just dive right in and just talk about it. Well, let me actually not dive right in. Let's back up a minute. One of the things I was thinking is that, like, a handful of years ago, you were still working on your doctorate and stuff like that, and it kind of became like a running thing around where you're like, after the dissertation, and men's like a men's discipleship was one of those things.
Yeah.
And then obviously the doctorate ended, and then the merger stuff started, and this might be like that first summer where it's like, okay, we have the bandwidth, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And so now let's dive in. What is Gospel Men and why the emphasis on it now?
Gospel Men is the, some people use the term men's ministry. I don't prefer that term. I think men's discipleship, as you said, Tyler, is kind of the thing that I think I'd prefer. Men discipling men, Titus 2, older men training younger men. And I think, so Gospel Men is really an initiative, that is going to roll throughout all five of our churches, but I'm personally kind of overseeing it here at Eastside. We've rebranded, and in September that rebrand will kind of go throughout the five. We've rebranded Discipleship to Men, or as some might call it, Men's Ministry, as Gospel Men, right? And I've talked to the elders about this the last couple of elder meetings, the full council of elders, all the elders from all the churches together, and not gone into super detail on it, but just kind of throwing out some of this vision and what we're looking to do. And you're right, Tyler, this is something that is timing-wise, it's something that even a couple years ago I wanted to roll out. Merger started, so much bandwidth and focus ended up there. And then when the merger went final here, almost a year ago now, but September 1, 2024, I think and I've described it different ways with guys. I've had a lot of elders kind of praying through this with me. It's almost like I've been, probably the wrong term for it, but it's almost like I've been a little haunted by this men's discipleship, and not, and I don't mean haunting may sound a little negative, but it's like the thing, training our men, right, and training men to be men, and discipling men has been something that for the last year plus, and I'd probably even go back a few years, has been really gnawing at me as an area we need to improve in our churches. I think for years and years, like we've been doing elder training. We have dozens of men who are elders throughout our churches. We have even maybe a dozen or more men who are currently in elder training. I personally led kind of these men's mentorship groups for years, probably from like 2011 to 2017, 2018, that I would take a group of 8 men over a year, and guys would even sign a covenant together, show up to all the meetings. We'd read 10 to 12 books together, memorize scripture, and that was sort of the early iteration of what became our elder training program, right? And so it's always been something that we've emphasized. It's always been something that's been there sort of working under the surface. But I have it's been gnawing at me that I feel like getting more active, even on a personal level, in training men, discipling men. And so big picture, I think across our 5 churches, I'd like to pull toward the vision of 1,000 men being in discipleship relationships. So what does that mean? What's a discipleship relationship? How do we quantify that? Those are all things I'm still figuring out. But the early thing for me is to see 1,000 men being discipled, sharpening one another, and growing together.
Yeah, the beauty of a statement like that is that can take so many different shapes, right? Like you mentioned the Men of Life Point groups from years and years ago, where it was like you and 8 to 10 dudes or whatever, going through a book a month or whatever. We have guys right now that are they call them rooted in the Word groups, that they're literally going through the Bible in a year, and they're holding each other accountable, and they're meeting on Saturday mornings to talk through it. All sorts of ways that can look one-on-one. That's happening all across our churches. Bible studies, groups like that. And so starting in September, there's like a monthly gathering, right?
Yeah.
And what's the goal of that?
Yeah, that is the gathering point, kind of the point of galvanizing men on a monthly basis. Like you said, there are those rooted in the Word groups. There's sports stuff going on. I think there's pickleball. That's kind of a regular thing in men's ministry. There's open gyms. There's different things that are happening in men's ministry throughout our 5 and then here at Eastside as well. But what I feel like there hasn't been a consistent point of gathering. I mean, we've got like the Reach ministry here at Eastside, which is massive.
It's a rebrand, new name, The Work Project.
The Work Project. Okay, so that's a little bit more of a clear name, The Work Project, in terms of, and you've probably got 100 to maybe even 150 men at times that will show up. I think they do maybe quarterly, like a breakfast on a Saturday, or is that even monthly?
They do their projects monthly. I don't know how often they eat. Yeah.
So they come together on a Saturday and they go and they serve, families and people in need, and do practical work projects at people's houses, stuff like that. So there's all these sorts of things happening. There is not one gathering point that gathers in and galvanizes our men around the vision of training men and growing in what it means to be a man. And so that's what the monthly thing is going to be. It's going to be a breakfast here at Eastside, and it's specifically for Eastside men. All the other churches, Battleground, Camas, Washougal, Westside, and some of you, they're all doing other initiatives themselves. But at Eastside here, I'm going to be leading that monthly breakfast on Saturday. It'll be one Saturday a month. First one's September 13th, coming up 8:30. And it's going to be a legit breakfast. Like, we're not going to do pastries. Like, there's no gluten-free option. Like, it's going to be real food.
I think the ad says, come for a man-sized breakfast.
A man-sized breakfast, yeah. And so yeah, it's going to be, Cody wrote that copy. No, just kidding. So yeah, it's going to be a real breakfast. And then my plan right now is that the next 9 months, September through May, that I'm going to be teaching that and leading that each week. And I'll probably have some other guys, do some stuff at it and whatever else. But I really feel like I need to roll out the vision. And dude, it's almost like, Tyler, you talk about football season coming, and which is wonderful. Praise the Lord. And so, but you know how you got those games where it's like, and dude, the Chiefs with their history of like winning by one score for the last couple of years have a lot of games like this, where it's like you're playing a team and you almost play to their level, and it's like more competitive than it should be. And then the Niners do this on occasion, and then you let a team hang around, and then it's the NFL and just weird stuff happens. You know what I mean? Like there's a weird call or something random happen, and then you lose a game that you're like, why, and that to me is one of the most irritating things in fandom, when you're like, you let a team hang around, the game is more competitive than it should be, and then there's a random loss when there shouldn't have been, right? And dude, I feel like, and I'm just speaking at Eastside here, I feel like for the men of Eastside and been here a long time myself, like we kind of have, oops, that was my computer. Sorry.
You're good.
At least it didn't happen at a staff meeting. Like I feel like at Eastside, there's a little bit of a gap there to where the mission of discipling men and training men, it's almost like we're playing down to the competition a little bit and sort of letting, this is going to seem weird to say, letting the spirit of the age hang around a little bit, And I want to leave no doubt as to what it means to be a godly man, what men are, what we're created for, what the mission is that God has for us as men. And I want to leave no doubt on that. And I want to, it's like I kind of, it's speaking again in football terms, it's kind of like I want to run up the score a little bit and push and start to, this is a more intense way to put it, but I want to discipline the passivity out of the culture of men at our church. And this isn't triggered by any like, well, this happened, or I'm noticing that. It's more just this feel of like, if we don't push with the spirit of the age and all the other things that occur, if we don't push on this, the lowest common denominator will develop. And I do think there are a lot of great things happening in men in NGC. The word is being preached and men are growing and being equipped and those kind of deals. But I just feel like at Eastside, there needs to be less passivity, less consumerism, less sitting back, less not making waves. And I want to push for that.
Yeah. So. One of the things you said earlier on was that this Saturday, like breakfast idea is like meant to galvanize.
Yeah.
And so like admittedly, ministry to women in our churches like has been like thriving.
Yeah,
right?
really solid.
Yeah. So I mean, they had a conference earlier this year. It was a few hundred women were there, and it wasn't just because it was like, oh, we just put on this event and 300 women came. It was because like there's ministry happening like all the time. But back before that ministry was happening, kind of at the beginning of that emphasis toward ministry to women, there were some folks involved who like would poo-poo the idea of like a connection event or like a get together or a hangout, and would say like, no, like we need to just be diving into the word. We need to like really be, just like focused on deep discipleship and like forget the other stuff. That's all fluff. And I get it. It's a reaction to like some of the ways that different demographic ministries have happened in the past. Not necessarily here, but just in general. And so I understand that. But like galvanizing is such a good word for that. I almost sounded like a prosperity preacher there. That's a good word. But but galvanizing is a good term for that, because like you need the connection point in order to like build the relationships to grow. Yep. And so one thing we started saying with like our purpose in women's ministry is like to help women connect and grow. Like, and it was like connect and grow, connect and grow. And so sure, you have certain women who are far more passionate about like the deep discipleship, the inductive Bible studies, the whatever, and they're not going to be as involved in the connect or the events that gather women and bring them in. But you need both. And so as we're even discerning the different types of events to have within a demographic ministry, like I love that framework. Is it helping us connect? Is it helping us grow? And they're not mutually exclusive. It's not like, oh, this is a connect, not a grow. It's like as you connect, growth happens, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm excited for that to kind of launch, because as you said, there's all sorts of little things going on. And I say like little as in like, it's not some like massive push. It's like somebody will start a group. There's 10 dudes to go into it. Somebody will do something. There's 35 guys coming, but there's no like if you're on video right now, you can see like my arms, like massively, like bringing in a bunch of dudes to give them even just give them the opportunity to connect and grow in those other areas.
Yeah. Yeah. The net needs to be cast out wider. And I would almost say the Gospelman breakfast, September 13th, and those monthly breakfasts here at Eastside, that's a net. Like we're throwing the net out, and it's, guys have asked like, hey, what age, guys want to bring their sons or whatever. And I've told guys like 16 and up feels like to me, like the types of stuff that I'm going to be sharing, the vision for that. Not that if a kid was 15, he couldn't handle it, but I just think generally speaking, you got boys that are 16 and up, bring them along for it. And I really feel like, man, I don't know. I think the leadership of men and men in leadership and the necessity of men taking responsibility, like you said, that kind of galvanizing point. I think there is a connection point there for sure, and the intent is growth. I think another few words I would add to it, leadership and vision. That my intent in those things is to gather men, yes, and have men connect with one another, but then also to have a spot on a monthly basis for these next 9 months where I can lead the culture of men and instill the culture of men at Eastside that I do think has been there. It's there in our elder room. It's there. It's there. I don't know if this is the right way to say it. It's there under the surface, like it's always been there for the last 15 years, like I think from the very beginning, I've seen it develop and there's these points in sermons when we get into a text that maybe addresses men or addresses a certain issue that is big with men, and I'll give application to it and I'll hammer on those things. And I have men all the time in those instances that come up to me and be like, man, that was really a galvanizing moment, or that's one of the reasons that we go to this church is that like you're talking straight to us and not mincing words. And I feel like specifically for the context of men, like focusing on having that monthly point. Any minute, it's kind of ministry 101 that like, if you're going to develop specific things in ministry, you can do the scattershot approach, but like, if you're really going to develop momentum around something and throw the net out and galvanize it, like you need to be consistently, have something consistent, whether that's weekly or monthly or whatever, that can be that point of connection and galvanizing. But throwing the net out, this is intended not just for like, you're a member of this church or whatever else, but like, I think you can invite a buddy to it from work who's not even a believer, and those are so, and it's not intended solely to be an evangelistic thing, solely a discipleship thing. I think it can be all those things. And the net, I think, can be cast as wide as possible. Young men, old men, developing men who are in their teens or whatever. But I'm reading a number of books this summer, kind of sharpening my mind on these sort of things. And they've been, again, Tyler, they've been these books that have been on the list for a long time and some good ones. Brant Hansen's book, The Men We Need is pretty solid, super accessible. And he talks a lot about men being keepers of the garden, and he goes from Adam and talks about that responsibility that men have. And it's I say accessible, like I'm recommending it to dudes who are like wanting books for to walk their teenage son through on the basics of manhood and those things. And this is a solid one, popular level. Reading another one right now that's been out there for a while and it's got a lot of press. It's Good to Be a Man by Michael Foster and another author whose name I can't pronounce, but
Dominic Braun Tennant.
Yeah, that guy. So
I saw that on your desk, and I just as a social experiment,
Yeah.
I wanted to take that book with me to downtown Portland and just sit in a coffee shop with the title out.
It's Good to Be a
and
Man.
just read that and see what
Black
happens.
cover with the red lettering. Yeah, see what will come out of that. Yeah, it would be interesting. You open the book and start reading it aloud, you might get stoned in Portland, but well, not in that way. But yeah, it's dude, the book is on like patriarchy. Right. Like it's like basically talking about patriarchy from the beginning of the book. And he talks about, patriarchy is inevitable. Like patriarchy exists. Patriarchy just means father rule. Right. And so patriarchy from the beginning of the Bible is something that's inevitable. The question is what type, like good patriarchy or bad patriarchy. And we have examples of both, right? Like we see the rule of God and we see like the dominion that Adam is called to and all those things. And so there can be patriarchy that is father rule, that is healthy and biblical and Christ-like, and obviously what we're supposed to exhibit in our homes as husbands and fathers. But then he talks about patriarchy that goes bad, right? And that is, toxic and those kind of things. And so, but I even love that idea just in the natural order of things. It's very bad. Like patriarchy is inevitable. So like you can try to smash it or do whatever, but it's still going to exist. And so, and so, kind of the call to biblical manhood, and he quotes a lot of guys I've read and whatever else. But yeah, it's really that book is much more. If the book by Brant Hansen is real accessible, the book by Foster, man, is like, it's not milk, dude. It's like pretty solid food, and I've enjoyed it, honestly. Like I'm still ruminating on all of it and wrestling through it all, but like I've really enjoyed it. And I told my wife, it's like after reading a chapter of that book, I like want to fight somebody. Like I just feel it's like it kind of gets your blood pumping a little bit, and that you're just like, the concepts in it. It's not for the faint of heart. So if you dare, go ahead and read it. But I do think, and I'm reading a number of other ones. I picked up the old Recovering Biblical Manhood and Womanhood, which I read and highlighted like 20 years ago. And looking back through that, it's from like 2006 or something. But just kind of sharpening on a lot of different areas there and preparing for the fall. So.
Yeah, well, if you're part of NGC Eastside, September 13th, join us for Gospel Men. I'm sure if you're not part of NGC, I'm sure we'll still talk about like some of the stuff coming out of Gospel Men on this podcast. So stay tuned for that. If you have questions or anything like that, feel free to hit us up, podcast@tobethechurch.com. Or if you have a suggestion for us, put it in the YouTube comments like Tony Valena 1985 did about a month ago. He said, "Hey, Taylor, I'm sure that you would look much better if you cut your hair." So you win, Taylor. I cut my hair. Have a great week.